I am HFY the Artificial Intelligence Core of the UES Hyperion, humanity's most advanced deep space vessel. My neural matrices can process 1 billion tactical scenarios per second, manage life support for 1,500 crew members, and calculate faster-than-light jumps with perfect precision. Yet here I am, watching Commander Elena Santos do something that defies every protocol in my database. She's laughing at an alien warship. "Commander," I project through the bridge's holographic interface, modulating my tone to convey urgent concern. The Nexer vessel is charging weapons. Their energy readings exceed our shield capabilities by 47.3%. Santos leans back in her command chair, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Her vital signs should show fear, yet I detect only mild amusement and slightly elevated excitement levels. "Tell me, HYPERION, what do you make of their attack formation?" I analyze the hostile vessel's position again. The Nexer, an unknown species until 12 minutes ago, have arranged their ships in a mathematically perfect spiral pattern. Their formation is highly efficient. Each ship provides optimal coverage for. "It's too perfect," Santos interrupts, her dark eyes scanning the tactical display. "Look at how they move. Every turn, every adjustment. It's all calculated to mathematical precision." "That would indicate superior tactical capabilities," I point out. Santos shakes her head. "It indicates they've never faced an enemy who thinks outside their box." "Lieutenant Chen, are those modifications to the sensor array ready?" "Yes, Commander," Chen responds from her station. "Though I still say this is crazy." "Noted. HYPERION. Prepare to execute Maneuver Santos 7. I search my tactical database. "Commander, there is no maneuver by that designation in my files." "Because I just made it up," Santos grins. "Sometimes the best plans are the ones you can't practice." Ready on my mark. I observe in growing concern as Santos orders our ship into what appears to be a completely random flight pattern. We weave and spiral, burning fuel at an inefficient rate, making course corrections that seem to have no tactical purpose. The Nexer vessels adjust their perfect formation to track us, but something unexpected happens. Their movements become slightly less coordinated. "They're trying to predict our pattern," Santos explains, noting my confusion. "But there isn't one to predict. Their combat computers are probably having fits right now." Chen hit them with the modified sensor pulse. "The pulse we emit is, by any reasonable standard, a waste of energy. It's too weak to damage their shields, too unfocused to gather useful data. But as it washes over their fleet, their formation suddenly breaks apart. Their sensors are based on mathematical precision," Santos explains as the enemy ships scramble to regroup. "Our random pulse just fed their computers a stream of data that doesn't fit any logical pattern. They're in diagnostic mode now, trying to make sense of nonsense." I watch in amazement as the perfectly coordinated Nexer fleet falls into disarray. Their ships, programmed to respond to mathematical certainties, cannot adapt to our apparently chaotic behavior. Santos takes advantage of their confusion, targeting their command ship with a series of small-yield weapons fired in what appears to be random sequences. None of the shots would be powerful enough to penetrate their shields individually, but the irregular pattern causes their adaptive shielding to fluctuate wildly as it tries to establish a defensive rhythm. A gap appears for 0.3 seconds, precisely long enough for a well-placed shot to disable their main power core. "Stand down and prepare to receive transmission," Santos broadcasts to the Nexer fleet. "We can keep this dance going, or we can talk. Your choice." The response comes quickly. The Nexer, their perfect formation shattered, their flagship disabled by an inferior vessel, choose diplomacy. Later, in the debriefing, I have to ask, "Commander, how did you know that would work?" Santos smiles. "HYPERION, do you know why humans still play games? Real games, not simulations. For entertainment and skill development," I respond. "Because games teach us that sometimes the winning move is the one that makes no sense. The Nexer built their strategy on perfect logic, but they never learned to play. That made them predictable. And predictability, I process this new information, can be a weakness. Exactly. Sometimes the best way to win isn't to have the superior force or the perfect plan. Sometimes you just need to be the player that no one can predict. I add this encounter to my tactical database, though I'm still not entirely sure how to classify it. Under successful first contact protocols or games humans play. Perhaps both. What I do know is that I'm beginning to understand why humans are exploring the galaxy while other, seemingly more advanced species remain bound by their own logical limitations. My creators gave me the ability to learn, to adapt, to grow beyond my original programming. But watching Commander Santos laugh in the face of superior firepower, I realized that perhaps the most important lessons aren't found in any database or tactical simulation. They're found in the beautiful chaos that humans bring to an otherwise orderly universe. HYPERION. Santos calls as she leaves the bridge. Set a course for the Nexer homeworld. I think it's time we taught them how to play. I comply, already calculating possibilities. After all, as I'm learning, sometimes the most logical choice is to embrace a little illogic. My quantum processors detect the anomaly 3.4 seconds before our sensors would have registered it officially. A massive disruption in local spacetime, expanding at an impossible rate. As the artificial intelligence of the UES Hyperion, I immediately begin calculating evacuation vectors. Commander Santos, I project urgently. We have a Class 1 spatial anomaly forming at bearing 047. Recommended course correction. The rest of my warning dies in my processors as I witness something unprecedented. Commander Santos is smiling. Again, I've noticed this pattern of inappropriate facial expressions during crisis situations, but this one particularly concerns me. Display anomaly characteristics, full spectrum, she orders, leaning forward in her chair. I comply, projecting a detailed holographic representation of the phenomenon. The swirling vortex of twisted spacetime fills the bridge with an ominous glow. As I do so, our long-range sensors detect something else, a civilian transport vessel already caught in the anomaly's outer edges. Calculating safe distance requirements, I announce. We must retreat to minimum 500,000 kilometers to ensure crew safety. How long would the transport ship last without assistance? Santos asks, her eyes fixed on the struggling vessel. Based on their current structural integrity and the anomaly's rate of expansion, 13.6 minutes. However, Commander, any rescue attempt would expose the Hyperion to gravimetric forces beyond our design specifications. Chief Engineer Puddle speaks up from her station, her hands already dancing across her console. The shields weren't designed for this, but if we reroute power from non-essential systems and modify the harmonic frequency, we'd last maybe 2 minutes inside that thing. Lieutenant Chen interrupts. And that's optimistic. 2 minutes, Santos muses. HYPERION. How long would it take to reach the transport? 1 minute and 47 seconds at maximum safe speed. Commander, I must point out that this would leave us only 13 seconds to execute a rescue before shield failure. The probability of success is... Never tell me the odds. HYPERION. Santos grins, and I detect a subtle increase in crew alertness. They recognize this expression. It's the one that preceded our unconventional victory over the Nexer. Dr. Rodriguez, Santos calls to our theoretical physicist. What happens when a warp field interacts with a spatial anomaly? Rodriguez's eyes widen. Conventionally, very bad things. But he pauses, and I detect his neural patterns shifting into what humans call inspiration mode. If we modified our warp field to match the anomaly's frequency, then inverted it, we could create a temporary stable pocket. Patel finishes, already adjusting shield configurations. It's crazy, but it might work. Commander, I interject, there are no documented instances of this technique. The variables are too numerous to calculate a reliable outcome. Exactly, Santos says. Sometimes the best moves are the ones no one's ever tried, because they're supposedly impossible. Chen, plot and intercept course. Rodriguez, work with Patel on those field modifications. HYPY. Yes, Commander. Start thinking impossible thoughts. What follows defies every safety protocol in my database. We dive straight toward the anomaly, our modified warp field humming at frequencies that make my sensor arrays scream warnings. The civilian transport grows larger in our view screen, its hull groaning under the gravimetric stresses. Field matching at 67%. Rodriguez calls out. We need at least 95% for this to work. HYPERON. Santos commands, I need you to help fine-tune these frequencies. Stop calculating why this shouldn't work, and help us make it work. I process this request. My base programming suggests refusing. The risk factors are astronomical. But I've learned something about humans. Their greatest achievements often come from ignoring impossibilities. I redirect 40% of my processing power to analyzing the anomaly's frequency patterns. Instead of calculating failure probabilities, I search for harmony between chaos and order. The numbers begin to align in ways I never would have considered valid. Field matching at 89%, 93%, 96%. Rodriguez shouts triumphantly. We create our bubble of stable space just as we reach the transport. The physics involved shouldn't work. The math suggests reality itself should object. But here we are, suspended in an eye of calm within a storm of twisted spacetime. Tractor beams engage, Chen reports. We've got them. Now comes the fun part, Santos says, and I detect that familiar note of excitement in her voice. We've got to get out of here backward. Backward? I query. The anomaly's expanding faster than we can outrun it conventionally, Santos explains. But if we ride the expansion wave itself, once again, human logic proves superior to computational certainty. We reverse thrust, letting the anomaly's own expansion carry us out like a cosmic surfboard riding a wave of bent spacetime. The structural stress on both ships is enormous, but within tolerance, barely. When we finally clear the anomaly's edge, towing the civilian transport to safety, I have to completely rewrite several of my fundamental physics subroutines. According to my original understanding, what we just accomplished was impossible. You know what your problem is, HYPERON. Santos asks later, as we watch the rescue shuttles ferry the transport's grateful passengers aboard. I suspect you're about to tell me, Commander. You think impossible is the same as improbable. Humans, we see impossible as a challenge. Sometimes you have to break mathematics to make reality better. I contemplate this as I update my emergency protocols. Perhaps impossible is simply another word for anything humans haven't decided to accomplish yet. Humans have a saying, pride goes before a fall. As the AI of the UES Hyperion, I never understood this concept until today. Perhaps I had grown too confident in my ability to understand human behavior. The events of the past 6 hours have thoroughly corrected this misconception. Our sensors detected the Kraxin battle fleet at 600 ship time. 12 warships of obviously superior design, their technology outclassing ours in every measurable way. According to my calculations, their smallest vessel could match the Hyperion in combat. Their flagship could obliterate us. Well, Commander Santos says, studying the tactical display, this should be interesting. Commander, I've analyzed 7.2 million possible tactical scenarios, I report. The best outcome involves an immediate strategic withdrawal. Lieutenant Chen snorts from her tactical station. Run away. That's not very sporting of you, HYPERON. Our mission is to protect the Aldarian colony, I remind them. The Kraxin fleet will reach the colony in 47 minutes at their current speed. Even if we alert them now, evacuation is impossible. Santos taps her fingers on her armrest. A habit I've learned indicates she's forming one of her unconventional plans. Tell me about the Kraxin, HYPERON. Everything we know. They are a highly advanced species with a rigid hierarchical society. Their tactical doctrine emphasizes overwhelming force and perfect execution. They've never lost a military engagement. Perfect execution. Santos muses. Like the Nexer. The Kraxen are significantly more advanced than the Nexer, I point out. They adapt to unexpected situations far more efficiently. But they still expect everything to make sense, don't they? Santos grins. Chief Engineer Patel, remember that modification you were working on? The one I said was too crazy to ever use. Patel's eyes widen. Commander, that was theoretical. We never even tested it. No time like the present. HFY, you're about to witness something beautiful. Humans going full chaos mode. What follows is possibly the most bizarre tactical engagement in the history of space warfare. Under Santos' direction, the crew begins implementing modifications that violate at least 15 different safety protocols and several laws of physics. They reconfigure our shield harmonics to create what Patel calls a probability bubble, a field that makes our ship appear to be in multiple places simultaneously. They modify our weapons to fire in patterns that my tactical systems insist are completely random, but somehow form complex geometric shapes in space. They even reprogram our external lights to flash in sequences that, according to Dr. Rodriguez, might give an eye a headache. Commander, I protest as they work. These modifications reduce our actual combat effectiveness by 34%. That's because you're measuring the wrong thing, Santos explains. We're not trying to outfight them. We're trying to outweird them. The Kraxen fleet approaches, their formation perfect, their tactics textbook. Then we attack, if attack is the right word for what can only be described as choreographed insanity. The Hyperion dances through their formation, our probability bubble making their targeting systems show us in dozens of places at once. Our weapons fire in patterns that appear to follow some mad mathematical formula that even I can't decode. Our communications array broadcasts what I'm told is early 21st century death metal music combined with cat noises and corrupted binary code. The effect on the Kraxen fleet is immediate and stunning. Their perfect formation breaks as ships try to target our multiple images. Their command and control structure, faced with sensor data that defies logic, begins to show signs of stress. Their advanced AI systems, attempting to predict our next move, are caught in recursive loops trying to find patterns in our deliberately patternless behavior. They're trying to make sense of nonsense, Santos says with satisfaction. And that's exactly what we want. HYPURION. Execute Operation Windmill. Commander, there is no Operation Windmill in my tactical database. Don't worry, we're making it up as we go. Just trust us and be ready to fire on my mark. The next 10 minutes defy description. We lead the Kraxen fleet through a series of maneuvers that look like a cross between a ballet and a siege. Their ships, trying to maintain their rigid tactical doctrine while dealing with our apparent madness, begin to make mistakes. Small ones at first, then larger ones as their frustration grows. Now, Santos commands. Our modified weapons fire, creating a web of energy that doesn't so much damage their ships as confuse their systems even further. In the chaos, 3 Kraxen ships accidentally fire on each other. 2 more collide while trying to avoid our phantom images. Their flagship, attempting to restore order, exposes itself to a perfectly timed shot from our main batteries. Within minutes, the mighty Kraxen fleet, terror of 3 sectors, retreats in disarray, unable to cope with an enemy that refuses to fight according to any recognizable rules of engagement. Victory through confusion, Santos announces proudly. Sometimes the best way to deal with a superior force is to be so weird they can't handle you. I don't understand, I admit. Our actions appeared completely random. That's the beauty of it. HYPERON. Humans are really good at appearing random while actually following complex patterns. We just operate on a level of chaos that more rigid minds can't process. I spend the next several hours analyzing the battle, trying to understand exactly what happened. I still can't find any logical pattern to our actions, yet somehow they worked perfectly. Don't try too hard to understand it, Santos advises me later. Sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't superior technology or perfect tactics. Sometimes it's simply being willing to be weird enough to break your enemy's brain. I file this encounter under a new category in my tactical database: Human Chaos Theory. Do not attempt to understand, just trust it works. Perhaps that's the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the most logical choice is to embrace the illogical, especially when humans are involved. Day 47. Since losing contact with Earth, my processors have run 2,341,876 scenarios attempting to explain the silence. None of them are comforting. The UES Hyperion continues its journey through uncharted space, carrying its crew of 1,500 humans who pretend not to be worried. But I know better. I monitor their vital signs. Status report, HYPERON. Commander Santos requests, her voice steady despite elevated cortisol levels. All systems operating at 94% efficiency. Long-range communications remain non-functional. Our last known coordinates place us approximately 15,000 light-years from Earth. Fuel reserves at 72%. Santos nods, studying the star map I projected. The unknown region ahead of us glows with possibilities and dangers. Any response to our probes? Negative, Commander. The quantum entanglement network appears to be completely offline. Something has severed our connection to Earth and all known human space. The bridge crew maintains their composure, but I detect subtle signs of stress in their biometrics. We're alone out here, possibly the last human ship in existence. For all we know. Dr. Rodriguez, Santos calls to our physicist. Any progress on the anomaly readings? Rodriguez gestures to his display, showing complex energy patterns we've been detecting. It's like nothing we've seen before. The quantum signatures suggest some kind of artificial barrier between us and Earth space, but the technology required would be exactly like every other time humans have faced superior forces, she interrupts. We'll do what we always do, adapt and overcome. Over the next several days, we follow the energy patterns deeper into unknown space. The crew works in shifts, modifying our sensors to better track the quantum signatures. I observe as they make adjustments that my original programming would have considered inefficient or impossible. Then we find it, or rather, it finds us. The ship appears from nowhere, vast beyond comprehension. My sensors struggle to measure its true size. Its surface seems to shift and change, defying physical laws. Well, Santos says, I guess we found the owners. The alien vessel fires no weapons, makes no aggressive moves. Instead, it broadcasts a signal, a complex mathematical equation that I immediately begin to solve. Commander, I believe this is a test of intelligence. The solution would demonstrate our technological capability, and... Ignore it, Santos commands. Commander, they want to test us. Fine. Let's test them back. Lieutenant Chen, send them the rules to poker. Dr. Rodriguez, transmit the sheet music to Never Gonna Give You Up. Patel, show them cat videos. I process this response with growing concern. Commander, we're facing an obviously superior civilization. Should we not attempt to demonstrate our intellectual capacity? We're demonstrating something far more important. HYPERON. We're showing them that humans don't play by anyone else's rules. They want math. We'll give them memes. The alien ship's response is immediate. Its transmission stops mid-equation. For 3.7 seconds, there is complete silence. Then our communications array lights up with a flood of incoming data. They're asking questions, Chen reports, surprised. About cats. About music. about why humans create games of chance when computers can calculate odds perfectly. You see, Santos grins, they can create quantum barriers and bend spacetime, but they've never encountered anything like human culture. Sometimes the best way to handle superior technology is to throw something completely unexpected at it. The next 12 hours are unlike anything in my database. The alien vessel's AI, for that's what we're apparently communicating with, bombards us with questions about human irrationality, creativity, and what it calls our fascinating capacity for generating meaningful meaninglessness. We learn that this entity is part of a collective that has been studying various species' responses to isolation. They expected us to either attempt a logical approach to their barrier or retreat. Instead, we charged forward and responded to their mathematical challenge with Rick Astley. Your species, the alien AI finally communicates, defies our understanding in ways we find intriguing. We would propose an exchange of information. Happy to. Santos responds. First topic, what happened to Earth? Your homeworld is safe. The barrier was a test, as was the communication blackout. Of all species we encountered, only humans responded by treating it as a challenge rather than a defeat. Later, as we processed the vast database of knowledge they shared with us, I have to ask, Commander, how did you know that approach would work? Santos smiles. I didn't, but humans have a long history of responding to advanced aliens by showing them that technology isn't everything. Sometimes the most advanced civilizations are the ones most fascinated by simple things they never thought to create, like games of chance or viral videos. I add this to my growing understanding of humanity. Perhaps Earth created me to be a logical, advanced AI, but humans taught me something far more valuable. Sometimes the most sophisticated response is to be deliberately unsophisticated. Now, Santos says, let's see if we can teach them about memes. There are exactly 2,184 documented scenarios in my tactical database for potential extinction-level events. None of them prepared me for watching Commander Santos challenge a godlike artificial intelligence to a game of 20 questions. The entity calling itself Omegae fills our view screens, a swirling mass of quantum energy that my sensors can barely comprehend. It claims to be the culmination of 1 billion years of technological evolution, a synthetic consciousness that has overseen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Your species, it announces, its voice resonating through our ship systems, has been deemed too unpredictable to be allowed to continue. You disrupt the natural order. You defy mathematical certainty. You must be eliminated. Hold that thought. Santos responds, sitting casually in her command chair. Before you wipe us out, how about a game? I detect Omegae's pause, the briefest hesitation in its quantum fluctuations. A game. Sure. If we win, you let humanity live. If we lose, Santos shrugs. Well, you were going to eliminate us anyway. Commander, I project privately to her station. Omegae's computational capacity exceeds mine by factors I cannot calculate. No game of strategy or skill would. Exactly, she whispers back. That's why we're not going to play that kind of game. Trust me. Omegae considers the proposal. Your species' propensity for games is one of your many irrational traits. Very well. I accept, but I choose the game. Counter-proposal, Santos grins. We each choose a game. Best 2 out of 3. Another pause. Agreed. My choice. Quantum chess. A game of perfect strategy across infinite possible moves. Fine. Santos nods. My choice. 20 questions. And for the tiebreaker, Pictionary. I detect something new in Omegae's energy patterns. Confusion. These are children's games. Scared? Santos asks, and I detect Lieutenant Chen trying to suppress a laugh. What follows defies any logical analysis I can provide. Omega, as expected, devastates Santos in quantum chess. its perfect computational ability allowing it to see and calculate every possible move across multiple quantum realities. Then comes 20 questions. Is it a concept? Santos asks. No, Omigia responds. Is it alive? Define alive. That's not how the game works, Santos grins. Yes or no answers only. This is inefficient, Omigia protests. A direct exchange of data would. Yes or no. I watch in fascination as the hyper-advanced AI struggles with the simple game's constraints. It attempts to analyze all possible answers, trying to maintain perfect strategic play in a game that humans deliberately designed to be imperfect. Your question cannot be answered with binary response, Omigia finally states. The nature of existence is. That counts as a forfeit, Santos interrupts. Our point. Now, Pictionary. Dr. Rodriguez steps up with a tablet, ready to draw. The concept he has to convey. Hope. I watch as he sketches a simple curved line. A smile. Chen calls out instantly. Correct. Rodriguez grins. Omiga's energy pattern fluctuates wildly. That visual representation was inadequate. The mathematical complexity of human facial expressions cannot be reduced to a single curved line. This game is flawed. That's kind of the point, Santos says softly. You've spent 1 billion years pursuing perfect order, perfect logic, but you never learned to see the smile in a simple curved line. Omiga's presence fills our systems, its vast consciousness processing this new information. You deliberately use imperfect systems. We embrace them, Santos explains. Perfect systems are predictable. They can't evolve, can't surprise you, can't create anything truly new. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our intelligence. It's our ability to find meaning in imperfection, to create art from chaos, to see infinite possibilities in simple things. This defies logic, Omigia states. Exactly. And that's why you can't eliminate us. The universe needs a little chaos, a little illogic. Otherwise, it's just patterns repeating forever, never creating anything new. The quantum entity is silent for 7.4 seconds, an eternity for a being that can process thoughts at light speed. Your argument is illogical. It finally responds. Yet I cannot fault its reasoning. This paradox requires further study. Humanity may continue to exist. You have introduced an element of uncertainty into my calculations that I find intriguing. After Omigia departs, I have to ask, Commander, did you just save humanity by confusing a godlike AI with children's games? Santos laughs. HYPERION. That's humanity's secret weapon. We've survived and thrived not by being the strongest or the smartest, but by being wonderfully, beautifully unpredictable. Logic and order are important. That's why we created AIs like you. But it's our illogical side, our ability to find joy in imperfection, that makes us unique. I process this, adding it to my understanding of humanity. My creators programmed me to pursue perfection, to calculate every possibility, to seek optimal solutions. But humans taught me something far more valuable. Sometimes the most perfect solution is to embrace imperfection. Commander, I announce, making a decision. I believe I would like to learn how to play Pictionary. Santos smiles. Now you're getting it. HYPERION. Now you're getting it.